4-year anniversary of Des Cotted just passed. I need all y'all that think it wasn't a catch to know that I forgive you for being wrong. Can't relate to it, but I forgive you. It was a catch, is a catch. If you disagree, I can't relate to the feeling of being wrong at all. Couldn't be me. Oh yeah, and fuck Gene Steratore. Let's get it.
You're listening to a Holyfield podcast.
Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. I used Anchor to distribute this very episode, and so that all the amazing listeners on the number one podcast in your headphones can enjoy Prem Brulee on whatever platform they prefer. I love how easy Anchor makes it to edit and post episodes. So, if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start so that you can join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. Alright listeners, welcome back to another edition of the number one podcast in your headphones. If you doubt this is the number one podcast in your headphones and you're a number one listener, then look no further than joining the likes of Gene Steratore and those that feel that Des Bryant did not catch it. It's just not a fact. Alright, without further ado, let's get going on Yeah Fam or Nah. And as I have been doing in previous episodes, I wanted to recap the week in the NFL. And of course, we just finished up the NFL divisional rounds, which, as we all know by now, resulted in the top 2 seeds in each conference making it to the championship round. The 4 teams left also happen to be the top 4 scoring offenses in the NFL. So, 2 of the top 4 scoring offenses will end up playing for the Super Bowl, and we will find out who those 2 teams are after this coming weekend. A little recap here. In the AFC, both wins were big and dominant, whether the score indicates it to you or not. The number 6 Colts, who were as hot as any team in the NFL, lost to the Chiefs 31-13 in a snowy game in Arrowhead. The number 5 Chargers lost to the number 2 seed New England Patriots 41-28. And that score does not do their dominance justice since the Patriots had 35 points at halftime. In the NFC, the games are a little bit closer, but the Cowboys lost to the number 2 seed Rams 30-22. You already know, you're going to hear more on that later. But worth noting, amidst my rant later, I might not actually cover real happenings of the game that were turning points, but there were 2 crucial plays that led to the Cowboys' loss. One was a failed 4th down, in which Ezekiel Elliott got stuffed in a run-heavy defense set and a run-heavy offense showing. The Cowboys, in retrospect, probably should have ran a hard play action and would have converted big, probably, since the entire Rams defense sold out for the Zeke run, and were absolutely right. And the entire Cowboys offense made it no mystery that was where they were going. The other crucial play was a penalty on Pro Bowl cornerback Byron Jones. A hands to the face on what appeared to be a 3rd down stop against the Rams ended up leading to a touchdown for them, giving them an automatic 1st down. And then the last matchup was the number 1 seed Saints coming back to beat the defending champs, the Eagles, 20-14. And in that game, turning point was Marshawn Lattimore's first interception of the game. With the Eagles driving already up 14-0, it stopped that from happening. And on that very next offensive drive, Sean Payton dialed up a fourth down fake punt from his own half of the field that kept their drive alive and resulted in a touchdown and brought the Saints back into the game. So, a couple notes heading into AFC NFC Championship Week. The Saints will host the Rams, and the New England Patriots will travel to Kansas City for a chance to play in Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta on February 3rd. For the 6th straight season, both Super Bowl teams will have had a bye to begin the playoffs. The last team to play Wild Card Weekend and make the Super Bowl were the 2012 Baltimore Ravens. And that was from Mike Greenberg of ESPN. Had I known that the bottom 4 seeds were doomed from the start, maybe I wouldn't have been so invested. Yeah, right. Okay, petty alert.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
I'm a nod to this. I know a lot of people are, yeah, fam, but I'm a nod. I wanted to see an upset. Even though I'll recap my picks later, I ended up being right. Top 2 seeds moving on. Wanted to see more drama. And yes, the Cowboys didn't make it, so that alone makes it a nah. You'll have to live with it. Okay, staying in the NFL, wanted to give an update on the head coaching vacancies after going over them briefly. I'll break it down team by team. So the Cincinnati Bengals have not made it official, but are likely hiring Zach Taylor, who's the current quarterback's coach for the Rams, and who is a former offense coordinator at the University of Cincinnati. Of course, we know on the way out was Marvin Lewis, finally. The Denver Broncos let Vance Joseph go after 2 seasons. Vance Joseph accepted a role as defensive coordinator for the Cardinals. The Broncos brought Vic Fangio from the Bears, the defensive coordinator that led the Bears to such a fantastic defensive season. The Cleveland Browns hired Freddie Kitchens as their head coach. And, of course, earlier this season fired Hugh Jackson. And with the move, Freddie Kitchens let go their interim coach, Greg Williams, who agreed to be the defensive coordinator for the New York Jets. In Tampa Bay, out is Dirk Cutter, who is now an offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, and in comes Bruce Arians. Then the Arizona Cardinals, as we know, brought in Cliff Kingsbury and let Steve Wilkes go after just 1 season. Wilkes agreed to be the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. The Miami Dolphins are the other team still with an opening, technically. The rumor is they're hoping to hire Pat's defensive coordinator, Brian Flores. Of course, they let Adam Gase go, who wound up in New York as the Jets head coach. The Jets' former coach, Todd Bowles, landed in Tampa Bay as the defensive coordinator under new coach Bruce Arians. And last but not least, the Green Bay Packers hired Matt LaFleur. Out is Mike McCarthy, who is reportedly going to take 2019 off and be available for vacancies in 2020. So look for him to get a job then. Overall, I'm a yeah fam to these set of head coaching candidates. The one bad thing, a couple to point out, is the Bengals finally letting go to Marvin Lewis likely means they pass the torch to my Dallas Cowboys, who will likely hold on to their head coach, Jason Garrett, for far too long, just like the Bengals did. One of the coaching moves I'm not a huge fan of is Adam Gase in New York. I think it's probably a little too soon for him to get his next coaching opportunity, not having any time off. But that remains to be seen. We'll see if he proves me wrong. The one everybody wants to talk about is Cliff Kingsbury. Jury's still out. I think he made a lot of wise hires as his coordinators, people with real experience, so I like that he did that. Really love the Freddie Kitchens move. It seems that Baker Mayfield loves Freddie Kitchens, so I like keeping some kind of cohesiveness with Brown's second half of season. That was very positive. And really love the Bruce Arians move in Tampa Bay. I think he's proven to be successful and will be maybe resurrecting for Jameis Winston's career. Okay, on to the NBA. Yeah, fam or not, DeMarcus Cousins to make his debut for the Golden State Warriors. You already know what I'm going to hit you with.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Nice, that's cool. Good for Boogie. He has 0 rings and will without a doubt still have 0 rings at season's end no matter what happens. You're on the Golden State Warriors, you stay there. 0 rings, have fun with that. Go make your money next year while you still have 0 rings. Huge nod to that, and yes, I'll hit you with another petty alert.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Okay, last yeah fam or not is an update to college football in their off season, which is already full of headlines after their season wrapped up. The runner-up from this season, Alabama, is to lose 7 underclassmen in the NFL draft. So safety Deontay Thompson, linebacker Mac Wilson, defensive lineman Quinnen Williams, who probably will be a top 3, top 5 pick, offensive tackle Jonah Williams, running back Josh Jacobs, tight end Irv Smith Jr., and cornerback Savion Smith are all heading early to the NFL draft. Just keep in mind of my toasty take that we will not see Clemson Bama Part 5 next season. Just keep it in mind. I'll deny it till the cows come home if it doesn't happen, but just keep that in mind real early, but there's never a wrong time for a toasty take. Okay, a few other transfer-related notes. Jalen Hurts has hit the mystical transfer portal. It appears that Maryland and Miami, Florida, are now favorites to land Hurts because he has former Alabama offensive staff at each of those locations. He's also visited Oklahoma, and other possible destinations would be TCU, Auburn, Houston. Worth noting, Hurts is from Houston, so that's why that's on there. And Ohio State quarterback Tate Martell also put his name in the transfer portal. It appears as though Martell has visited West Virginia, which is considered a possible landing spot for him after Ohio State wound up with highly touted recruit from Georgia, Justin Fields. Overall, with the first parts of this, fam, the Alabama moves, the Jalen Hurts doing what's best for him. He stuck it out. He's a graduate transfer. He's within the rules to maximize his chances. So good for him and getting a potential starting job at a big program. I'm all for players transferring. Coaches can move all the time. Players should be able to. I actually don't even think they should have to sit out years, but that's neither here nor there. But Tate Martell's case. Not even me being petty, but Martell talked a bunch of shit about how he'd win the starting job just recently before their Rose Bowl game. And then he enters the transfer portal and visits West Virginia? Come on, man, that's some weak-ass shit. Alright, now it's time for Likey No Likey Hate It. And my first likey goes to Saints players in the locker room playing Meek Mill's Dreams and Nightmares while wearing ski masks in the locker room after defeating the Eagles. Listen, permission to join Team Petty? Granted. You get this petty alert's for you, New Orleans.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Staying in that same game, 2 players that helped clinch the Saints' victory, Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore, are from the Ohio State University. It's almost as if the Buckeyes produce good pros. A no-likey goes to, switching over to the AFC, the Patriots running a punt block while up 27 on the Chargers in their AFC divisional game. Chargers were backed up in their own territory, but come on, man. What kind of bullshit is that? A no-likey goes to Buckeye Hoops losing 3 straight conference games to Michigan State, Rutgers, and Iowa. A competitive home loss to Sparty is okay, but following up with disappointing performances at Rutgers and at Iowa is ridiculous. The latter, the Iowa game, was filled with turnovers and makes me feel like this losing streak is mental, and that's way worse than being physically beat. Okay, you knew it was coming as soon as the results of this weekend happened, but hate it. Cowboys defense. You call yourselves the fucking Hot Boys and give up 100+ yards to 2 running backs. That couldn't be fucking me. The fucking Hot Boys, with all your gear, all your bullshit, getting on planes, talking a whole bunch of shit pregame, you give up 100 yards, not only to Todd Gurley, one of the best running backs in the league, but CJ fucking Anderson had 23 carries for 123 yards. Todd Gurley getting 115, like I said, fine. But CJ Anderson? The 2 combined for 238 yards and averaged over 6 yards per carry. 6. You the fucking Hot Boys giving up 6 yards a carry? Nah, man. You should be stripped of those powers, man. Somebody bring in the Monstars, man. We need that fucking ball in here to steal that fucking nickname of all things. The Hot Boys. Get the fuck out of here. 6 yards a carry? Some grown-ass men getting dominated at the line and calling themselves the Hot Boys? Couldn't be fucking me. Oh, then we have Mr. Claps-A-Lot, head coach Jason Garrett, after they had lost, heading to shake Sean McVay's hand at midfield while smiling ear to ear. I'm all for sportsmanship. Of course you got to shake the opposing coach's hand, who totally dominated you, by the way. But why the fuck are you smiling at that point? I hate it. Hate it. So coaching grown-ass men clapping and smiling like it's fucking pee-wee football. I'm not even close to the silver lining step as a Cowboys fan. You number one listeners know that I didn't think they'd beat the Rams, and I told myself I wouldn't get upset. But the manner in which their defense got dominated is such a sour end to a very surprising positive season, especially the second half of the season. The defense, those hot boys themselves, just got owned at the line of scrimmage. They legitimately had one true stop in the game. That's it. That's the difference. Usually the Cowboys win scoring 20. That's the recipe. They score more than 20. Their offense gets them more than 20 points. It's a win. The offense, for once, did their part. Defense couldn't hold up their side of the bargain. I guess the block was too hot, huh, hot boys? Also, last but not least, sound the alarms.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Fuck everyone that picked the Cowboys and jinxed them. Fuck y'all with all my heart. I don't need y'all believing my team now. You wasn't with me shooting in the gym. I need y'all to know I blame you the most. That's right. 100% serious. Don't jinx my team. Don't do it. You already know I'm irrational at this point. Why you gotta add fuel to the fire? Fuck y'all. Hate it to that. Goes along the same lines. But after we resulted in these top two seeds in each conference making it to the AFC and NFC Conference Championship, you hear a lot of analysts say, quote, if you're a fan of the game, how can you not love this matchup, end quote. It's fucking easy. Try being a fan of a team, and then you won't love the fucking matchup. All these fucking experts and former players pose as fans. They try to be relatable. Stop it. You want me to love a matchup when my favorite team isn't featured? And then question why I don't love it? Get the fuck out of here, man. They're so out of touch. Okay, as my heart rate returns to normal, it's time for You Played Yourself. My favorite category, where I get to call out people. First one goes to a Mr. Tom Brady, who said, quote, everyone thinks we suck and can't win any games, end quote. Speaking of out of touch, as a segue, it constantly amazes me how out of touch and idiotic athletes can be. Get your head out of your avocado ice cream ass. 8 straight AFC championships, and you want us to buy this bullshit? Ain't nobody out here saying that. And you declaring yourself some poor underdog is tired. Get the fuck out of here. You played yourself. Speaking along the same lines as people trying to be underdogs when they're not, Dabo Swinney still referring to Clemson as poor little small school Clemson University. You and Tom Brady need to shut the hell up. You can't play that card. Rings get you out of touch, clearly. Clemson's a powerhouse. They aren't no silly-ass underdog. Get the fuck out of here. Next, You Played Yourself goes to Notre Dame. So this tweet came from Cole Kublik, an SEC Network analyst, who tweeted, spoke to a staff member at Clemson. Tigers prepped for Bama all bowl season and spent just 1 week on Notre Dame. Had the confidence to spend much less time on ND and devoted most of December to Alabama. Yikes, Notre Dame. That speaks for itself. And it probably makes the rest of the nation... Well, actually, I can confirm. It does make the rest of the nation pretty pissed off that this is a top 4 team that Clemson didn't even feel they needed to prepare for. Good job, College Football Playoff Committee. Okay, I got a list for you guys. Corey Coleman, Will Fuller, Josh Dotson, Laquan Treadwell, and Sterling Shepard. These 5 wide receivers in the NFL have career stats combined at 495 receptions, 6,253 yards, and 41 touchdowns. Now may I direct you to a one Michael Thomas, who, in his 3 seasons, has amassed 321 receptions, 3,787 yards, and 23 touchdowns. Much better than half the total of the other 5 receivers. So why this list, you're wondering? That list of 5 wide receivers were all of the wide receivers taken ahead of Michael Thomas in the 2016 NFL Draft, where Thomas was selected 47th overall by the New Orleans Saints. Poor Michael Thomas had just 12 catches for 171 yards with a touchdown in the NFC Divisional Round. Poor Michael Thomas holds the record for most receptions for a player in his first 3 seasons, 321, and holds Saints franchise records for most receptions in a game, 16, most receiving yards in a game, 211 against the Rams. He plays this week. That happened earlier this season. Most receptions in a season, 125 this year, and most receiving yards in a season, 1405, also this year. You fucking played yourself. Browns, Texans, Redskins, Vikings, and Giants. And while we're at it, every single team passed on Michael Thomas. Every single team. It is an absolute shame. It constantly baffles me how 46 players were taken ahead of Michael Thomas that year. Unbelievable. My next You Played Yourself goes to both the NFL and NFL Players Association, who defended their drug policy against Eric Reid's claim questioning its integrity after being tested 7 times this past season while a member of the Panthers. The NFL and NFLPA claim, after their independent administrator reviewed the policy, that Reid's tests were not targeted. They were randomly generated via computer algorithm, and that selection of his tests was normal compared to the number of tests players were randomly selected for throughout the league during the time he was on an active roster. Okay, so you're telling me their algorithm randomly generated Reid 7 times. Let's put it this way. There are 32 teams in the NFL with 53 players on their rosters. So, 1,696 players, which is, by the way, an underestimation considering injuries, roster changes, all that. But 1696. Eric Reid is 1 out of 1696. You're telling me that 1 out of 1696 came up 7 different times? I saw something that suggested there would be a 0.17% chance of this happening. Where's that in the algorithm, NFL and NFLPA? And as I've told you, number one podcast listeners, time and time again, no one is exempt from You Played Yourself. And the final You Played Yourself of this edition goes to me. I hated on the Amari Cooper trade on this very number one podcast in your headphones. But I will happily admit I played myself. The Dallas Cowboys wound up with a 1,000-yard receiver and the reason for an offensive turnaround in the second half of the season. I will gladly trade that in exchange for what now turns out to be the 27th overall pick that we sent to Oakland. You Played Yourself goes to me, and I will have to take that. And that brings us to Who You Got and What You Feeling. Let me recap last episode's picks that I made, which featured just the picks for the NFL divisional round. So, with Indy playing Kansas City, Dallas playing the Rams, the Chargers playing the Patriots, and Philadelphia traveling to New Orleans to play the Saints, my picks were that the AFC Championship would wind up with the top 2 seeds, New England versus Kansas City, and the NFC would do the same, winding up with the Rams and Saints. The result was, of course, I was correct, but I wish I wasn't, unfortunately, because of the Hot Boys. This week's pick, surprise, surprise, the NFL Championship round. Who do I think makes Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta, February 3rd? Of course, the AFC Championship game is number 2 New England at number 1 Kansas City, who are favored by about a field goal. They are the later game on Sunday. They did meet previously this season in a shootout. The Patriots beat the Chiefs 43-40 on October 14th. That also happened to be the Chiefs' first loss of the season. The NFC Championship is an earlier game on Sunday. The number 2 seed Rams will travel to New Orleans to face the Saints, who are favored by 3.5 points. Their previous meeting was November 4th, where the Saints beat the Rams 45-35, which also happened to be the Rams' first loss of the season. My pick for the Super Bowl is Patriots versus Saints. I know I fully acknowledge the thing that makes me nervous about these picks are that I am predicting that neither of the matchups will get revenge. It's very difficult to beat a team twice in the NFL, so I am essentially counting on the Saints and Patriots to do that. But I have this feeling New England's going to figure Kansas City out again, and the bane of my existence will be in the Super Bowl again. So I'm picking Patriots and Saints, but I could see any combination of these four teams. That's why the top four offenses, and that's why they're the top two seeds on each side. And of course, had to cover the big news, but wanted to make it in the pick section. Kyler Murray, Heisman Trophy winner, has declared for the NFL draft and will now choose between such a rough life he's amassed himself. He will now choose between playing baseball with aspirations to make it to the MLB or hopefully, from what everyone is saying, be a first-round pick and be a quarterback in the NFL. Murray, depending on what reports you saw, questioning this or not, he reportedly asked for more money from MLB and the Oakland A's, and even got a meeting with the A's and the marketing team from Major League Baseball. Shows you how unique of a case this is. The original report was that he wanted $15 million to stick with baseball. Of course, everyone already knows his number. He has a $4.66 million signing bonus waiting for him for being the 9th overall pick in his draft, in the MLB draft. That $15 million guaranteed is equivalent to about last year's 12th overall pick, which was Vita Vea of the Panthers, his money. But if Murray happened to be selected number 1, like Baker Mayfield was this past year, Mayfield got $32 million over 4 years, so that 4.66 wouldn't exactly measure up. Okay, it seems as though Kyler Murray wants to play football. Otherwise, this wouldn't even be a choice. And I've realized there's people like Deion Sanders who's played both sports telling Murray to go baseball. But something about me thinks he's sticking with football, so I'm going Kyler to the NFL, and I just have this feeling he's going to stay there and maybe try baseball if football flames out in a few years. But let's not get it twisted here. Those people suggesting he should be picked ahead of Dwayne Haskins, you played yourself. You can't weave through NFL defenses like Kyler did against the non-existent defenses of the Big 12. Rather have a big quarterback like Dwayne with a cannon for an arm in the NFL. So if you want a 5'9" quarterback, you go for it, but you'll regret it. As for what I'm feeling, definitely True Detective Season 3 starting. It got off to a great start, very similar to Season 1, but I dig it. And also, Game of Thrones announced the final season premiere date as April 14th, and I can't wait, just like most of us can. Alright, you know how I like to finish each episode, with my too much sense. Love giving advice. It's usually more than 2 cents worth, hence the name. This one really spoke to me. It was from Will Smith's Instagram, which is a highly recommended follow, by the way. Very entertaining. But he spoke about associating your likes and dislikes with right and wrong. He suggested remove like and dislike from the decision-making process. Instead, is something right and true? Right perception, training your mind to accept things right or wrong, even if you don't like them, is going to get you the right actions. Make sure you see things correctly, and then choose the correct actions based on you seeing those things correctly. I highly dig this. It's something I need to work on myself, but accepting things, even if you don't like them, but they might be right, and knowing that they're right to apply them to whatever decisions you make. Might not like them, but if they're right, they're right. And that's going to wrap up another edition of Prem Brulee. I'm your host, Premal Bot of Holyfield. #1 podcast in your headphones. Don't ever get it twisted. Don't play yourself. Please check out the other podcasts from Holyfield. Subscribe, listen, share with a friend. Tell that friend to share it with another friend of theirs. And we'll talk to you next time.